welcome back to Art by Bedell. This is Bev, and we are going to do the third part of the inside of our Lapbook. And what we're going to do today is the cover. Here we have our waterfall. We've opened it up, and this is the next page here. This is where on the other side we put the belly band with the notepad. So I want to add another flap to this. I had 1/4 of an inch space here, and I wanted to add another flap because I felt I had the room. Maybe I'll regret it in the end. I don't know. But for this flap, this part is 6.5 by 9. So my flap is going to be 5 3/4 by 9, and I'm going to score 1/2 inch on top, and that's where I'm going to glue this to our journal right here. The paper that we put inside here was 1/2 inch smaller on both sides, and I want to cover just that paper with this flap that I'm putting on. So we'll still see our stitching along the outside edge. I'm not going to glue it down right now because I want to stitch around it, so I'm going to add our papers. So for the paper, I have chosen Shabby Grunge papers, and I am going to make that just slightly, ever so slightly smaller than our flap that we're putting on. I am taking a, let's see, it's 1 1/8 inch punch, and I'm going in about halfway and punching a thumb hole. I've also taken this paper and inked up around the outside edge of it. So for the top, I want to put on a piece of paper that I have coffee dyed up here. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue to that to hold it in place while I take it to the sewing machine. So I think I'll go around all 4 edges of it so it doesn't stick up. Normally when I sew something down, I let things be a little bit flappy probably, so that there's a little movement. I guess I like movement. So I'm going to get all the 4 edges of this. Oops, too much glue there. So rather than having that seep out, I'll just take my finger and move it around here a little bit. And then that's going to go right on top of this piece of paper that we cut for our top. I am going to leave just a little bit, like maybe 1/4 of an inch across the top. Okay, and then I want to add a piece of lace on here. Get our fabric tack for the lace. These are all just scraps that I've had from doing some of the pages. We did 10 pages in our journal. If you haven't seen this series, I will link a playlist below. And then I'm going to also use the fabric tack for our gold paper. Our gold paper is our accent paper. Spread that glue around a little bit. And then I have, not sure where I got this. I think from a book that I had that had some pieces of ephemera in it. But I thought it would go cute here without adding very much dimension to it, to my journal. I can get carried away and make these books way too thick. Okay, so I'll put that there. And then I have this little bow with a little bead on top that I had in my stash. And we'll put, I'm thinking I was going to put that on right now, but I think I'll take this to my sewing machine first, and then I'll come back and I'll add my bow. So I am going to stitch across the top, across the top and all around. I'll be right back. I want to stitch it to my paper here, so let me add just a little bit of glue to hold this in place. Otherwise things move around, then I have everything all crooked. I'll go stitch this and I'll be right back. All right, so I have this down and I stitched around the top, the right hand side, and then across the bottom because we're making a pocket out of this here. So we have our thumb hole for our pocket and we'll make a journal card to put in there. So this is ready now to be glued to the top of our page like this. Okay, we'll put that right up here. Hold that down for a minute or two, pressing it firmly in place. Like that. And where's our bow go? Where did our bow go? We had a bow. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Okay, so when I see the bow, we will add the bow to the top of the page too. Right now it seems to have taken a little walk. All right, so we need to make a journal card for here. My journal card just needs to fit inside. So whatever the width of your page is up here, I would make it 1/4 of an inch smaller in width, and in height I would probably take 1 inch off because we have sewn across the top and the bottom here. So 1 inch, or let me see how much I really did take off. This was 8 1/4. And my tag is 7 1/2. So yeah, I took about 3/4 of an inch. Just go ahead and cut it down to what you think will work and then test it in there before you decorate it so that you don't have to cut cut it out after it's all been decorated. So my tag is 5 1/4 by 7 1/2. And it's going to fit right inside here. See what I mean? I didn't allow for the top and the bottom. So I'm going to take this back and I am going to take off approximately another inch. Right, so I took off 3/4 more. So let's go back to this. My page is 8 1/4. And I've made my tag 6 3/4. Anyhow, like I say, make sure that it fits inside your pocket before you start decorating it. And then having it end up being too small. So just inked up where I cut it. And I will trim papers down that will fit. So I need to take them over and take some more off. There. For my tag, I have chosen papers that I could use to journal on, and one of them is the beetroot dyed paper that we had that has that pretty floral stencil print, and the other one is a piece of coffee stained ledger paper. I have inked around them, and I am just going to glue them down to my card. There I have my journaling tag. So for the left-hand edge, I am going to add lace to each side. And of course, our gold paper, piece of lace to each side with Fabri-Tac. Adding the lace on the back the same side as what I added on the front. I feel that to have lace on the side that will go inside the pocket is going to be a little difficult. It's going to continue to catch, and so I like to, if I'm going to add lace to a tag that's going in a pocket, I like to add it on the open side. Okay, let me see how that's going to go in. I keep the lace free, it'd be kind of pretty to have it go in just like that. And if I don't, then I'll want to glue it all down. I think I'll glue it all down. Well, I'm going to be stitching it, so that'll catch in these edges that are holding it from going inside. I'll put a little bit of, I was going to do cheesecloth. I'm not so sure I want it on my tag, though, because I don't want to have to struggle with getting it in and out of my pocket. I have a tab here. Let's get the tab on and then decide from there what we might want to do. Try not to overdo things, guys. I'm good at overdoing things. I do like the tag on there. So what if I just did a little piece of our gold paper and one of these little round buttons, if we think that'll be enough. It doesn't look like enough to me. I really wanted maybe just a smaller piece of this. Let's try that. Just a smaller piece of our cheesecloth that will go right under our button like this. Then it won't have so much. I think that'll be better. Smaller piece, and then I'm happy. Okay. Again, some fabric tack. We're having some issues with our fabric tack here. Get that glued down really well, because that gold paper will rip also too easily. And then our cheesecloth, and I'm going to call this a little button. There, I'm happy with that. And we're going to do that to both sides. So it did need the cheesecloth, just less than what I was planning. All right. So I want to stitch this also. And I want to go around the whole outside edge, catching in the edges of the lace so that it doesn't cause a problem when we're sliding it into our pocket. So I'll be back. There, I like that. Let's see how well it slides in. Much better. The lace doesn't get caught in the way. You just have to watch it because you're doing it on the bottom too. And it slides right in, and you can see our pretty little circle button, our tab, like that. When I do dangles, I don't do my dangles until the end of my project, and then I'll go through my book and I'll see where it needs to have one. I'm thinking I'll put an eyelet here and I'll have a dangle hanging from here, but we'll see. When like I say, I go through the end and then I add those later. So we have a nice place for journaling here, or a picture, and then inside we have journaling here and here. So that is that section, part of it. Okay. You will have to fuss a little bit with this lace. If you don't want to fuss, don't add the lace on this side. All right, to me it's worth the fuss. So now when we open this up, this flap that we just added, we want to cover that. So I've cut a piece of, let me see, get this in here for us. Hopefully that's in frame. The book is kind of hard to do when they're up that way. So I have cut a piece of paper that covers pretty much the whole thing. Again, just leaving like 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So that's a 1/2 inch shorter and a 1/2 inch not quite as wide as what our flap is. And I have inked it up, and I will just glue this down. on this one, I'm going to add a piece of ledger paper that was beat dyed to the edge of it, and I have also inked around the edge of that with Distress corduroy. And it's up to you. You can leave, like, just do the 3 edges and have a little tuck spot if you want, which probably I will do because I'm never sure what I'm going to add to the page. And if we do decide just to go over it, there's no harm done. So I'll take my Verily Art glue and I'll go around the 2 short sides and 1 long side. And I will come in a little bit from the edge. And there we have what could be a tuck spot, should we want one. Just like that. Okay. And then I'll stand by the cheesecloth. I'm going to put that down here on the bottom. Not getting anything on the edge in case you want to keep it as a tuck spot. And our gold paper. And then we have another one of these little round circles that has some pink flowers on them. We'll put that on top of that. Keeping all of this fairly flat. And we have just a little scrap of lace left over from another project that we'll put on top of that. Just enough to add a little more texture, but not so much that it's going to add a lot of bulk. So that page is all ready for journaling or whatever we should decide we're going to put on it. And yes. Now we have this part, which is the top part of our belly band. And for that, I want to add a Vellum Overlay. I want to cover up this top edge where we glued our flap down with a piece of Vellum Overlay. And I'm going to tear the bottom. I like to tear the bottom of the vellum. It gives it a raggedy look to it, and I just think that's pretty cool. And for some reason, I didn't get this inked up, so I'm going to quickly go ahead and ink this up. And then I'll glue that down right across the top, a little bit below where our scored line was for the new flap that we put on. And I'll put that down with some Verily Art glue. Just a thin stream of glue across here. We'll hold that in place. Securing that down. And then across the top of that, I have a piece of coffee dyed ledger paper that will now cover up that whole flap of the addition that we put across the top. Again, I will do 3 sides in case for some reason I want to have a tuck up there. And I will stay just short of that scored line there so that flap can fold in without anything bothering it. So again, we have like a little tuck spot there. And then for the top of this, I have several scraps. I'm not so sure that I should use them all. I don't want to get, like I say, too bulky, but I have chosen a lot to put here. So far, we're going to be good with this piece of lace and the piece of fabric. So we'll put that down. A piece of fabric across the top. Staggering them a little. They don't have to be one right on top of the other. Off to the left or to the right is good. And our piece of gold paper, I think, is a little large, so I'm going to tear that in half and add just a little piece, not such a big piece. I'm finding the Barely Art glue does not want to glue our gold paper, so that's why I'm using Fabri-Tac, plus I'm gluing it down to fabrics. So, but even to just paper, it doesn't want to hold it down. I want to put that over here, make just a little collage. Yeah, like that. And then I have a vellum butterfly I thought would be nice on there. I have a word. Oh, I think I do. Yeah, I know what I was going to do there. So I have a number 1 I want to put up there. Right about there to the end of our fabric strip. And then this vellum butterfly, I'll put just a little bit of glue on his body part, nothing on his wings. And make sure I can see my number 1 and glue him down. And I think I just glued my tuck spot. There, should be okay. So I think that's good, like that. Unless I decide to add something to the body, which it could use something on the body. Then I thought I would take another one of these little buttons and the word cherish and put down here. I'm going to right now, though, just clip it there. I do want to put a photo. So this is a 5x7 piece of paper, and we can pretend it's a photo that I'm going to put in here like this. Because I don't know where people are going to be or whatever in my photo, I'm not so sure that I want to add this cherish yet. So for now, I'm going to put a paper clip on here. I have a little one right here. And clip this to it so I don't lose it. And then when I do my photo, I will know that that's going to go on there. Oh, that doesn't want to hold it. Let me get a different paper clip maybe. I will put it aside for now, but I will get a paper clip and clip that to that so that I don't lose it. And let's see, what do we want to put here on? I'm thinking, we'll just leave it for now. So that concludes this section here, this flip out. So we have this with our tag, and then the cover up here that we can journal on with a tuck spot. And then we have this with an upper tuck spot, and this flips up that we can put a picture in here. Okay? Okay, so that concludes our project for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and hit like and subscribe. If you would like to see future videos, hit the little notification bell, and hopefully you got some inspiration, and we shall see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye now.